Absolutely it is. Because of a few rotten apples, they throw out the whole barrel. That's absurd. And again, we shouldn't stand for it. But it doesn't surprise me, Alex, because the internet was the only thing they haven't been able to control, and they must get control of it. So it's not surprising at all that they're going to drum up that we're all in danger, and that for our own safety, they should take over the internet, and we all have to have ID cards, and we can all be tracked, and anything we do and say can be, looked over and made sure of. If the internet allows that to happen, I don't know if they can, but if they do it to telephones and all that now, so it can't be impossible. But if that does happen, it's going to be a very dark day on the planet.
What do you think overall of Julian Assange?
Well, to me, he hasn't broken a law. All he's done is reveal documents. He's not a citizen of the United States, so he doesn't have to have any allegiance to our government or our policies or our political standing. And again, if everything he releases is the truth, well, then the truth shouldn't be considered bad. It's that simple. The truth should never be a bad thing. The truth should always be a good thing. And so I support fully. I stand with Michael Moore. This guy doesn't belong in jail at all. And what he's doing, again, it's the classic case of killing the messenger, which is him, rather than the message, which is the information that he's putting out. And if the information wasn't put out in the first place, there would be nothing to spill. And this is also a power play to let us as citizens know that if you go against the government, they will attempt to destroy you. Open your eyes up, people, and see that this is a clear example. They're going to try to make an example out of this guy. They got to, because he's gone over a new line on them. And they're now, the power brokers are now taking the sword and drawing the line in the sand. And they're going to attempt to get this guy and make an example of him so that there will be no more down the road. And I don't believe in a free society we should allow that to happen.
Well, we all hang together or hang separate, as Benjamin Franklin said, and there's also been calls by Lieberman and others to look at indicting people at the New York Times. People in the British government are talking about indicting folks in the Guardian newspaper because they got the leaks. I mean, that's what Assange is saying. I'm a journalist. I've been given this stuff. We vetted it. We've released it. It was leaks that brought down Nixon. It was leaks that exposed the Tuskegee experiment.
Well, why do you think they're trying to stop it, Alex? They got to put the line in the sand now. This is a major, major thing. This is one of the biggest things that's happened in my lifetime. In my opinion, this WikiLeaks stuff is going to rate right up with 9/11, and it's going to rate right up with the murder of John Kennedy.
Well, they're certainly using it to try to curtail the internet and my free speech. And
exactly, and that's huge. I mean, our basic Bill of Rights is on the line here. Not only the Fourth Amendment for reasonable search and seizure, but also the First Amendment.
Governor?
The right to free speech, Alex.
Is there any doubt, then, that they're running a blitz against every one of our liberties? Doesn't matter if it's Clinton, Bush, Obama. What do you think's going on here?
Well, it certainly shows to me that Democrats and Republicans are from the same ilk. That they portray that they're not together, but ultimately they are in the face of holding up nationalism. If you follow me.
No, I totally understand, Governor.
See, there's no difference, and people need to understand that as long as we keep electing these Democrats and Republicans, this is what you're going to get. Nothing different. This is it.
All right, we've only got 20 minutes left with you, and I want to get into the show. The new one premiering tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, I'm real excited about it.
Let's talk about the new episode now, then I want to go back to the incredible episode from last week, because if people have trouble believing there's a plan to force relocate folks out of the Gulf, Mississippi, Louisiana, and even parts of eastern Texas, southeastern Texas, we have the London Guardian article, Rebuild or Retreat, U.S. debates evacuation of Gulf coastline, $40 billion to fund that, and you put them on the hot seat. You want to cover that first or get into the Pentagon special tonight?
Oh, I want to get in the Pentagon special tonight.
Let's get into that. I mean, this is some groundbreaking stuff. I've been privy to some of the behind the scenes.
Well, it's not overly groundbreaking if you're a connoisseur of the facts. If you study it, you know, the things that we find out and the things we do are not a great deal. If you're into it, and you'll understand exactly where we're at here.
But it's groundbreaking to get a JFK deathbed confession on national TV for the first time. Yeah, it's groundbreaking to prove the FEMA camps. And, I mean, let me tell you, this will be the first time some of these eyewitnesses have ever been on television.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, tonight on the show, and it's the old classic, the mainstream media doesn't talk to the people who actually lived through it. Mainstream media avoids those people. Mainstream media only talks to government spokesmen who can spew the government story on what happened on 9/11. My show, we go out and we talk to survivors, people that were actually there. And tonight you will get the opportunity to hear a sergeant in the Army with a higher-than-top secret security clearance who survived, was in the very room that the alleged plane hit. And to hear her story is far different than the story that you hear come out of the government, the official story. Much the same as talking to William Rodriguez, the janitor at the World Trade Center, when his story so much differed from the actual story that was told by the government. And tonight will be one of those groundbreaking stories that hopefully mainstream America will now get to hear from the mouth of a survivor of the very room the alleged plane struck in the Pentagon.
Why do you think Geraldo, and then we'll get back into the show, and now Judge Andrew Napolitano are coming out and saying Building 7's suspicious, we know the story isn't true?
Because hopefully shows like mine are showing the facts and showing the cover-up. Hopefully they're going on the internet and they're doing some research of their own. See, my biggest bitch about 9/11 is the fact that the general populace that defends the government's position has done nothing to learn of what happened that day. The only thing they know is what was on mainstream media television and what the government has told them. And yet, if you go through mainstream media and pick out all the little different tidbits, it still paints a far different story. I mean, there were tons of stories immediately when the towers fell of mainstream media reporting that people heard masses of explosions. Then all of a sudden, within 12 hours, all those stories magically disappeared.
Let's run through some of the bullet points that we can reveal ahead of this new show airing tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on True TV, or you just type in Jesse Ventura Conspiracy Theory. It's the top link on the search engines if you want to go to their page and also review some of these groundbreaking previous shows. But I'm going to run through these bullet points and then get your comments on them.
Sure.
Explosive revelation about 9/11. Attack on the Pentagon destroyed evidence of lost trillions. It had broken in the AP and in the Oregonian the week before that $2 trillion was missing from the Pentagon.
Well, it's even bigger than that, Alex. The day before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld held a press conference talking about they couldn't account for trillions of dollars in the Pentagon. And then, ironically, the exact place the alleged plane hits is where all these records were kept.
Yes.
Now, we're supposed to look at that and go, geez, that sure was bad luck, wasn't it? No, what comes to me is what Colonel L. Fletcher Prouty says. Nothing just happens. Everything is planned.
man, that is ground.
You know, you look at things like that. These are real things. That press conference took place.
Hold on, Governor. Again, I don't have words to describe how big that is, that Rumsfeld had the press conference. It's the area where the records were. Building 7 had a bunch of similar records with the CIA in it. And that was only a press conference the day before. It was in the news the week before that, so he had to respond. It was breaking. We've never seen anything in mainstream news since then. There's only, I mean, this is groundbreaking. I can't believe.
There can't be anything since then because there's no clues now. All the evidence is gone.
It's huge.
And it just goes away. Mainstream media doesn't bother with it anymore. They just don't bother with it. It's gone. Oh, well.
Now, because I haven't seen the show yet, I've just talked to people behind the scenes. I mean, can you tell us what the new explosive revelation is about the attack with the missing trillions?
Well, that's pretty, that's part of it, what I just explained, the fact that it hit right in the spot where the accounting would have been done, where all the evidence was.
I'm just surprised this is even going to get on air. As we know, briefly, the missing police state episode, you want to say anything about that?
Well, apparently there was enough outcry from congressmen and from our government that they went to the higher-ups of AOL or whatever, and they've now removed it from the website, and they won't show it anymore, and they've basically censored it. That's all I can explain on it. But, it didn't surprise me because, Alex, I never believed these shows would get on the air in the first place.
Well, it turns out what you said a year ago, in a way, is right.
Well, it's starting to come true.
Well,
we must have rattled enough cages.
Oh, they got scared about those threat fusion centers commanding the FEMA camp grid. I mean, you hit them hard. I mean, I've never seen TV where there's a real Perry Mason moment. You annihilated that congressman. He was caught with his pants down, and then you annihilated. And I want to talk about that before you leave us, but we're going to finish up with the Pentagon episode tonight. You annihilated the head scientist and her minion from the Army Corps of Engineers. First, they deny there's a plan to secretly force relocate and that they only want business there. Then you give them the documents, and they go, oh, yeah, we know about that plan. I mean, they look like a deer in the headlights. I'm serious.
Well, if you do your homework, the thing is it's all out there. But getting back and tying it in, if we don't have things like WikiLeaks, we won't be able to do our homework, will we?
No, and that's the whole game plan. Let's go to number 2. Hijacker who flew 757 jetliner into Pentagon, unable to fly single-engine Cessna trainer. You guys went and talked to the folks. The flight school's on record. They couldn't even get a Cessna off the ground.
Well, it wasn't that he couldn't get a Cessna off the ground. It was simply they didn't trust him with one.
Well, I know there was another case where he...
And we go into it better than that. We will take tonight the exact, what the 9/11 Commission and the official government, NIST or whoever does all this stuff, we will take their exact dimensions, for lack of a better term, and try to duplicate it on a flight simulator. Wait till you see what happens.
Well, I've talked to so many airline pilots and fighter pilots. They say what happened at the Pentagon is impossible.
Well, we take it a step farther. We do it on a flight simulator.
No, incredible. Here's another one.
We're going to show. What we try to do with our show is we try to bring it